Let's get ready to mortgage. He is the prince of programs, guru of guidelines, master of matrices. He puts the fun in funding. Please welcome Mark, Mr. Mortgage, I Tell.
All right, my name is Mark Eitel, and you are listening to the Mr. Mortgage Show, and you're in the right place if you want the data, not the headlines, but the data, the tips, the tricks, the strategies, the inside information, so you can go out and make better real estate and mortgage decisions for you and your family. We do this each week right here, same time, same station. Super excited that you're going to spend a little bit of your day with us. We have a great show lined up for you this week. We're going to dive into the great rate head fake of last week. You heard me cautioning everybody last week who was dancing in the streets when those headlines came out that rates dipped into the fives. So we're going to dive into that because my predictions have come true. And no, I'm not Nostradamus. I'm just somebody who reads the tea leaves, if you will, and dives into the data. So it was an interesting week. But hey, before we get started, if you've got questions or comments, shoot them over to Jen. She's my producer. She runs the board. She keeps me sounding good, and she gets all your questions on the air. You can call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. That is the Anytime hotline. One more time for the kids in the back, 855-462-7292. Again, you can call or text that number. That is the Anytime hotline. Or if you prefer to shoot us an email, just visit mrmortgageradio.com. That's mrmortgageradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. There you'll see an email icon. Click on that icon and you can shoot her an email. And that's at mrmortgageradio.com. Hey, before we get started, I want to check in with Jen. Hey, Jen, how was your week?
I had a great week, Mark. Thanks for asking. How was your week?
Yeah, it was another great week in the world of Mr. Mortgage. We had an uptick in refinance activity this week. I think a lot of it was spurred on by those headlines that, interest rates had dipped down a little bit last week. We did get some locks in the fives. We were super excited about that. And it's interesting because a year ago, everybody was running to equity lines to access the equity in their property to pay down debt. And those equity line rates are moving considerably. Every time the Federal Reserve hikes the rates, that adjustable rate debt, which is primarily equity lines, credit card debt, business lines of credit, anything with an adjustable rate is experiencing that upward pressure from the Federal Reserve, who keeps hacking away at this inflation. So because of that, I think a lot of people are starting to look at possibly doing a rec refi and buying their rate down. And I say possibly, but that's what we saw this week. So I don't know if that's a trend that's going to continue, but we saw that. And then the purchase activity bumped up a little bit over the last couple weeks too. So that's encouraging. I think it's good that people are kind of reading past the doom and gloom and finding opportunity out there. And we're seeing opportunity with seller concessions, interest rate buy downs. So there's still a lot of opportunity in the market. Get yourself a great agent and you can make something happen out there right now. So yeah, to answer your question, Jen, it was a good week for me. So thanks for asking. But let's dive right into this week's show. So you heard me talk about the rate head fake, and you heard me mention it a little bit last week. And I say it all the time, guys. One article, one data set, one headline, one report never establishes a trend, right? We need consistent data in one direction or another over a period of time before we start jumping on the trend bandwagon. And we saw that last week. A lot of people are, running around out there on social media talking about interest rates are going to fall in 2023. And they may or they may not. There's a good argument on both sides of the equation, but the key ingredient in all of this is inflation. And we're going to jump on that in a minute because that's what happened last week. One indicator said inflation was under control. The next one said, no, it's not anywhere near under control. And the rates jumped back and forth accordingly. But what I want to caution you, when you're looking at the data and you're buying into the headlines or the report or the prognosticator that you happen to be listening to, a lot of the people who are out there saying rates are going to come back down are the same people who said rates aren't going to go past 3.5% in 2022, and we saw what happened in 2022. And I'm not knocking anybody. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't play the prediction game. I look at what the data that's in front of me, and I make my best decision based on today's data and some reasonable forecasts based on my experience in the business. And guys, I've been doing this since 1999, so a well-earned bald spot is evident on the back of my head. But nonetheless, I'm not knocking anybody because, again, there's data to argue up and data to argue down. But what happened last week was super interesting. So the Fed moved interest rates by a quarter point, and everybody anticipated a move. What was fascinating was the bond market and the mortgage market seemed to have more doom and gloom priced in than the Fed indicated in the press conference after the move, because what happened was the interest rates pulled back. There was a favorable response to the rate hike in the subsequent press conference. So Thursday, you saw headlines saying rates fall back into the fives. Well, that in and of itself was deceiving because that was an interest rate of 5.99. And a lot of times those average interest rates that you see on Freddie Mac or on Mortgage News Daily or any one of the great news sources online are averages. So they might be including discount points in those numbers. So you always have to read beneath the headlines when you're looking at that. But my point is, a lot of people jumped up and down and really kind of took that rate news by the horns and said, okay, this is going to trigger another buying frenzy in the market as rates are now back in the fives. Well, again, it was 5.99 and it was with us for an afternoon. And I'm chuckling only because by the time most people got home from work and flipped on the evening news, that 5.99% interest rate was already gone. Because the jobs report that was released on Thursday blew away expectations so wildly, it's clear that the Federal Reserve has more work to do because that red-hot jobs market fuels the economy. More people working, more people spending. It's likely to continue the upward pressure on inflation. So because of that jobs report, reality set in with a lot of people that inflation is probably here for a while, which dictates more rate hikes, which is probably going to trigger a recession. All of those ingredients got put into the kettle and boiled up the soup of the interest rate environment that pushed us back into the mid-sixes. So I'm saying all that because when I was talking about the rate head fake last week, a lot of people thought I was being pessimistic, and I was trying to be cautiously optimistic, but it's just the reality of things, and people are hung up on that one report. They're looking for that validation. They're looking for that sigh of relief that says, okay, now it makes sense. But the reality is, if you're waiting for a 5.99 interest rate instead of a 6.25% interest rate to buy a house, you're probably not ready to buy a house, because I say it all the time. You need to focus on your budget. How much is that monthly payment? And if that quarter point is what's barely going to get you over the hump, you might not be ready. So I ask people this all the time when they tell me the interest rates are the reason that they're not making the move. And again, homeownership is not for everybody, but it makes sense for everybody who's ready, because you don't have a choice. You're making a rent payment. You might as well make your mortgage payment. So anyway, I'm not going to beat that drum, but that's what I meant when I was talking about the great rate head fake of last week. So hopefully that made sense. Guys, you hear the music. You know what that means. That's my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight. On the other side of this short commercial break, we'll be back with more of the show, and we are going to dive into your questions. Sit tight.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel here, and I am going to interrupt this commercial break to ask you for a favor. If you've got any friends or family or coworkers who are talking about buying or selling or refinancing real estate, I'm hoping I can count on you to introduce them to me and my team. You can simply share the link, Mr. Mortgage Radio. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. I'd welcome the opportunity to help them any way we can. Now sit tight. On the other side of this break, we'll be back with the show. Again, it's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005.
Paradise is closer than you think. West Building Contractors can help you create your perfect piece of paradise. They have mastered the art of pavers, hardscapes, summer kitchens, pools, and more. For a free design consultation and quote, visit westbuildingcontractors.com or call 772-284-6994. West Building Contractors offer new construction, luxury additions, and remodels too. That's 772-284-6994. 888-885-6994 or westbuildingcontractors.com.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show. You hear me all the time talking about the need to have the very best team representing you in a real estate transaction. And that starts with a really great agent. If you've got a great agent, that's awesome. But if you don't, check out www.reallyGreatAgents.com. There you'll find the best of the best, regardless of the city they work in or the brokerage they work for. www.reallyGreatAgents.com. www.reallyGreatAgents.com.
Here's another 5-star review.
We started our loan with a different company. They said we were approved, but at the last minute they told us there was a problem. I still don't know what went wrong, but thankfully our real estate agent told us about Mark. I was pretty stressed, but it's the perfect house, so we gave Mark a shot. He got it done. I'm not sure what was different, but I don't really care. We even got a better interest rate and with less money out of pocket than the first guy quoted us. It was a great surprise. Yes, I'm happy to recommend Mark and his Mr. Mortgage team.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel here, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show. And you've heard me talk about the valuation tool that we use in our lending practice almost daily. It's not quite an appraisal, but it's way more accurate than one of those online estimates. And we're happy to run one of those reports for you at no charge. Just visit freevaluereport.org. That's freevaluereport.org. Give us a little information about the property, and we'll be happy to send you your report. That's freevaluereport.org.
Are inflation and everyday expenses eating into your retirement income? Maybe you've considered a reverse mortgage and have unanswered questions like, do I still own my property? Can the bank kick me out? What happens when I die? Can I still leave my house to my kids? These are all great questions. Visit www.moreaboutreverse.com to learn more. That's www.moreaboutreverse.com. www.moreaboutreverse.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, my name is Mark Eitel, and you are listening to the Mr. Mortgage Show. And you heard the man. If you've got questions or comments and you want them on the air, just give us a call or shoot us a text. That number is 855-462-7292. That's the Anytime hotline, 855-462-7292. Jen is womaning that hotline, and she will get your questions on the air. One more time, that's 855-462-7292. Or if you prefer to send your question via email, just visit mrmortgageradio.com. That's mrmortgageradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. There you'll find an email icon. Click on that and you can shoot your questions to Jen that way. Again, mrmortgageradio.com. Speaking of questions, hey Jen, did you saw that one from Bruce?
I can't repeat that question on the air.
I know. We've got some saucy listeners out there today. Hey, Bruce, you gave me a good chuckle, but we're not going to read that one. But I understand where you're coming from on that for sure. Hey, Jen, speaking of questions, let's go ahead and dive right in. I know we've got some in the queue, so fire away. What do we have?
Anita sent this one in. We took an equity line a couple years ago, and the rate keeps going up. Is there a cap on how high they can go?
Hey, Anita, that's a brilliant, brilliant question. And I kind of alluded to that in the opening segment, that people who have equity lines are starting to feel the pinch of the Federal Reserve rate hikes, because every time the Fed increases the overnight rate, that moves the prime rate up, which most adjustable rate debt is associated with. So your equity lines are going up, the interest rate anyway. Your credit card interest rates are going up. Business lines of credit are often adjustable rate debt, and they'll move accordingly with the Federal Reserve hiking the overnight rate. So a lot of people are starting to feel that frustration. And I think because of that, we're seeing a bit of an uptick in the debt consolidation loans where people are just paying that equity line off, sometimes leaving it open in case of emergencies, which, oftentimes can get you right back into trouble. But nonetheless, we're seeing some interest in getting rid of that equity line payment. Credit card payments for sure right now, a lot of people are frustrated by, and then car payments. So, hey, but before I get sidetracked, let me answer your question. I haven't seen rate caps in many equity line products, so it's interesting. But we haven't been in an environment where we've seen this number of rate hikes over such a short period of time. So I'm happy to review the documents for you. I don't do a lot of equity lines in my practice. We have access to them, but oftentimes our bank affiliates have a better equity line product. So it's in our client's best interest just to refer them to a banking partner. So that's often what we do. So because of that, I don't see a ton of the notes associated with the equity line, but I'm happy to review your documents for you. If that's of interest to you, just reach out. We'll shoot you over a Dropbox transfer link so you can securely transfer the docs, and I'll look those over for you. Yeah, great question. I'm not familiar with many equity lines that have rate caps, so there might not be a rate cap in there, but I get your frustration. So interesting scenario that we're in, because 2 years ago the equity line was a no-brainer, but now people like Anita are starting to feel the pinch. So great question. I appreciate you shooting that over, and I'm happy to go deeper with you if you like. So hey, Jen, what else do we have?
Melanie wants to know, if I had an FHA loan on my last house, how long do I have to wait until I can use another FHA loan? My brother says 3 years. Thank you.
Hey, that's another great question. I would need to know a little bit more information, but assuming you've sold that house, you can get immediately another FHA loan. So a lot of people have the misconception that FHA is only for first-time homebuyers. And a lot of people realize that in the world of underwriting, if you haven't owned a property in the last 3 years, you're considered a first-time buyer. So I'm guessing that's where your brother got his information. He's probably under the assumption that FHA is only for first-time buyers, and then he's smart enough to have done the research to know that if you haven't owned in 3 years, then you're classed as a first-time buyer. But fun fact, FHA is not only for first-time buyers. So I hope that helps. If you're planning on keeping your property, renting it out, and then buying another property with an FHA loan, there's a whole different set of circumstances. But it sounds like you sold your property and now you think you need to wait before you can buy another one with an FHA loan. If that property sold and closed, you can go out there and do it tomorrow. We're often involved in transactions where the closing happens in the morning of the sale of your property and your purchase closing happens in the afternoon, and we can do that with an FHA loan. You know, sell your first FHA property, buy your second FHA property on the same day. So great question. I certainly appreciate that. I hope that helps. If you need any more information, you can always reach out, 855-462-7292. That is the Anytime Hotline. And guys, we call it the Anytime Hotline because when we are not in the studio, that pushes to my office so we can answer your questions anytime during the week at 855-462-7292. Or shoot us an email. You'll find the email link at mrmortgageradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click on that email icon, and you can shoot over your questions or comments that way too. And again, happy to answer questions during the week. So I hope that helps. That was a good one. Hey, Jen, what else do we have?
Samantha sent this one. I co-signed car loans for my 4 kids. Is this going to hurt me when I apply for a refinance?
Wow, Samantha, you are a very loving and generous mother. That is, wow, big heart. 4 kids, 4 car loans, and co-signed all 4 of them. Hey, yes, brilliant question. I can help you with that, but I'm going to ask you to stay tuned through the break. We're going to dive into that on the other side of the break. This one's going to take a minute to explain. There is a way that we can provide you a path so it's not included in your debt-to-income ratio. But hang in there. You hear the music. You know what that means? That's my cue. We will be back in a few. Sit tight for this short break. On the other side of this break, we're going to answer Samantha's questions and dive into some more. So sit tight. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel here, and I am going to interrupt this commercial break to ask you for a favor. If you've got any friends or family or coworkers who are talking about buying or selling or refinancing real estate, I'm hoping I can count on you to introduce them to me and my team. You can simply share the link, Mr. Mortgage Radio. That's mrmortgageradio.com. I'd welcome the opportunity to help them any way we can. Now sit tight. On the other side of this break, we'll be back with the show. Again, it's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005.
Paradise is closer than you think. West Building Contractors can help you create your perfect piece of paradise. They have mastered the art of pavers, hardscapes, summer kitchens, pools, and more. For a free design consultation and quote, visit westbuildingcontractors.com or call 772-284-6994. West Building Contractors offer new construction, luxury additions and remodels too. That's 772-284-6994 or westbuildingcontractors.com.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show. You hear me all the time talking about the need to have the very best team representing you in a real estate transaction. And that starts with a really great agent. If you've got a great agent, that's awesome. But if you don't, check out www.reallyGreatAgents.com. There you'll find the best of the best, regardless of the city they work in or the brokerage they work for. www.reallyGreatAgents.com. www.reallyGreatAgents.com.
Here's another 5-star review.
We kept our business above water with credit cards during the pandemic. I'm glad we did. Business is better than ever. But I didn't want to be a slave to those credit card payments. I called Mark about the rec loan he advertises. Long story short, we did a rec refinance and paid off everything, even the car. Now we only have the mortgage payment. We're saving a bunch every month. Yes, we are happy to recommend Mark and the Mr. Mortgage team.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel here, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show. And you've heard me talk about the valuation tool that we use in our lending practice almost daily. It's not quite an appraisal, but it's way more accurate than one of those online estimates. And we're happy to run one of those reports for you at no charge. Just visit freevaluereport.org. That's freevaluereport.org. Give us a little information about the property, and we'll be happy to send you your report. That's freevaluereport.org.
Are inflation and everyday expenses eating into your retirement income? Maybe you've considered a reverse mortgage and have unanswered questions like, do I still own my property? Can the bank kick me out? What happens when I die? Can I still leave my house to my kids? These are all great questions. Visit www.moreaboutreverse.com to learn more. That's www.moreaboutreverse.com. www.moreaboutreverse.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and you are listening to the Mr. Mortgage Show. And if you've got questions and you want them on the air, just call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. Jen is womaning the Anytime hotline, and she'll get you on the air. That's 855-462-7292. Or if you prefer to send your questions via email, just go to mrmortgageradio.com. That's mrmortgageradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. There you'll find an email icon. Click on that, and you can shoot your questions over via email. So, hey, before the break, I think it was Samantha. What, Jen, was it Samantha?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Samantha had a brilliant question. First of all, Samantha, you win the Generous Mom of the Year award because Sam co-signed for 4 of her children's cars. So she's got 4 car payments on her credit report that aren't hers. Hopefully the children are making this car payment, because if you can document that the other party has made that payment for you for the last 12 months, then you can take it out of your debt to income calculation. So assuming the kids have made the payments for the last 12 months, if it's not been 12 months yet, you're going to have to wait. But assuming they've made the payments for the last 12 months and you can document it, usually with their bank statements, it's pretty simple, showing that, that car payment comes out the same time every month. That would be the only thing necessary to have that removed from your debt to income calculation. So I hope that helps. Again, I would like to know a little bit more information to give you a more accurate answer, but assuming that you can document that they've paid it for the last 12 months, you should be good to go. There are some other caveats depending on how much time is left in the loan. If it's going to be paid off soon, that might pull it out of your DTI as well, your debt to income ratio. That's why I mentioned I would need to know a little bit more information. And guys, that same rule goes if you are making your payment from your business, your car payment. So where a lot of people get hung up is it needs to have been documented for the last 12 months. So if you've got a car and you've paid it off and now you go to trade it in, that starts over right then. So if the business has paid for your car consistently and then you get a new car, that starts that 12-month clock over again. And I know it's frustrating and it's confusing and it drives me nuts, because if I can demonstrate the business has always paid for the car, I don't know why the age of the loan matters, but they're looking for the last 12 months documented paid by another party. But Samantha, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm calling you Sam. I'm assuming that we're that familiar with each other that I can call you Sam. But Samantha, thank you for that question. That's a brilliant question. If you need more information, you can reach out to us. I'm always happy to help. So appreciate that. Hey, Jen, do we have another question?
Jimbo has a question. Our landlord just hiked my rent again. It's now $3,200 per month. I'm tired of throwing my money out the window. How much can we buy for $3,200? Thanks for your answers.
Hey, Jimbo, that is a brilliant question, my man. And you are not alone. I really, really believe this most recent wave of home buyers has been sparked by landlords raising the rent. I mean, and I get it. During the pandemic, the landlords couldn't even collect rent. So I don't think anybody's really surprised that they're playing catch up. But there's a lot of people feeling the pinch. I mean, I talked to the woman who cut my hair the other day. Yes, I do have enough hair left to be cut, although I should get a discount because it's just mainly skin in the back. But nonetheless, she and I were talking, and she's in the same boat. Her landlord just increased her rent significantly, and, that started a conversation regarding buying something. So, but I'm going to dive into that question, and it's going to vary wildly. And the question Jimbo asked was, how much can he buy for $3,200 a month? So here's the thing, taxes and insurance, and if you put less than 20% down, private mortgage insurance, or MI or PMI, you'll hear it referred to, that can really impact how much property you can buy. So if you're buying in the hills of Arkansas and taxes and insurance are low, you're going to be able to buy a lot more than if you're buying on, the beaches of Florida, where taxes and insurance are relatively high by comparison. But I have an example in front of me. This was a transaction that we closed down in Florida, and it's not exactly $3,200, but it'll give you an idea, because if you're not paying a high tax base and you're not paying, Texas is another one that pays a lot of property taxes. And it's interesting because some of the municipalities are wildly different than others. But this transaction happened in Florida. It was a $500,000 purchase, and they put 20% down. So they borrowed $400,000 at 6.5%. So they paid no points. There was no seller contribution to buy that rate down. They bit the bullet and paid the rate of the day. So a $400,000 loan at 6.5%, that's a $2,500, well, it's $2,528. So call it $2,600 if you want to round up, principal and interest. So $400,000 at 6.5% was $2,600 to be conservative. However much the taxes and insurance are, that's going to dictate what that total monthly payment is. In this instance, the taxes were $675 a month, and the insurance was $354 a month, and that brought their payment to $3,557. So that gives you an idea. I'm using that as an example because it just happens to be in front of me. But depending on the taxes and depending on the insurance, that could vary wildly. Hopefully that helps. And I know that's not exactly $3,200, but Jimbo, I hope that gives you an idea. If you can shoot me your zip code and how much money you would be putting down, that's all I need. A zip code and the down payment percentage or the down payment amount, I could get very specific for you. I could factor in a much more specific insurance and a much more specific tax amount. And then if you're putting less than 20% down, we could put a mortgage insurance factor in there and give you a much better answer. So, Jimbo, I appreciate that question, brother. If you would do me a favor and shoot me back the zip code and how much you want to put down, I can tell you exactly what $3,200 a month would buy. This happened to be a $3,500 example in Florida, but that at least gets you kind of a ballpark of where you would fall. But shoot me back that additional info and I'll dig deeper for you. But Jimbo, thanks for that, brother. That was a great question. I hope that helped a lot of people, because oftentimes people are surprised to learn how much they could actually borrow for the same amount of money they're paying rent for, even at 6.5%, because the headlines have you convinced 6.5% is a high interest rate. And we just saw in that example, there's a $400,000 loan with Florida taxes and Florida insurance for darn near the same money. But hey guys, you hear the music, you know what that means? That's my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight. On the other side of this break, we'll be back with more of the show.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel here, and I am going to interrupt this commercial break to ask you for a favor. If you've got any friends or family or coworkers who are talking about buying or selling or refinancing real estate, I'm hoping I can count on you to introduce them to me and my team. You can simply share the link, Mr. Mortgage Radio. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. I'd welcome the opportunity to help them any way we can. Now sit tight. On the other side of this break, we'll be back with the show. Again, it's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005.
Paradise is closer than you think. West Building Contractors can help you create your perfect piece of paradise. They have mastered the art of pavers, hardscapes, summer kitchens, pools, and more. For a free design consultation and quote, visit westbuildingcontractors.com or call 772-284-6994. West Building Contractors offer new construction, luxury additions and remodels too. That's 772-284-6994 or westbuildingcontractors.com.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show. You hear me all the time talking about the need to have the very best team representing you in a real estate transaction. And that starts with a really great agent. If you've got a great agent, that's awesome. But if you don't, check out www.reallyGreatAgents.com. There you'll find the best of the best, regardless of the city they work in or the brokerage they work for. www.reallyGreatAgents.com, www.reallyGreatAgents.com.
Here's another 5-star review.
As a realtor, I have a bunch of mortgage brokers to choose from, but I prefer to work with Mark and his Mr. Mortgage team. In this crazy market, there is no room for error, especially on the mortgage side. Mark's team moves fast, keeps everybody in the loop, and makes things happen. They always give my clients a great deal and take the time to walk them through every step of the process. When you're considering a lender, I encourage you to talk to Mark Eitel and the Mr. Mortgage team.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel here, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show. And you've heard me talk about the valuation tool that we use in our lending practice almost daily. It's not quite an appraisal, but it's way more accurate than one of those online estimates. And we're happy to run one of those reports for you at no charge. Just visit freevaluereport.org. That's freevaluereport.org. Give us a little information about the property, and we'll be happy to send you your report. That's freevaluereport.org.
Are inflation and everyday expenses eating into your retirement income? Maybe you've considered a reverse mortgage and have unanswered questions like, do I still own my property? Can the bank kick me out? What happens when I die? Can I still leave my house to my kids? These are all great questions. Visit www.moreaboutreverse.com to learn more. That's www.moreaboutreverse.com. www.moreaboutreverse.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292. Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and you are listening to the Mr. Mortgage Show. You heard the man. Questions or comments, just give us a call or shoot us a text to 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. Jen is standing by, womanning the hotline, and she'll get you on the air. You can also shoot us an email. Go to mrmortgageradio.com. That's mrmortgageradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. There you'll find the email icon, and you can shoot your questions that way too. But man, we've had some great questions so far. We're talking about caps on equity lines, 4 car loans co-signed. What was that? Samantha co-signed 4 car loans for her kids, and now she's thinking about a refinance. So Jimbo had a brilliant question too. How much can I buy for $3,200 a month? And I know that varies wildly by region, but I did want to throw that example out there. So great question so far. Hey, Jen, let's keep the questions coming.
Kim sent us this. We lost our house in 2010 and have been renting ever since. I know we've probably waited too long, but really want to own again. Does it still make sense? It's never too late, Kim.
Jen, thanks for that. That's great advice. It is never too late. What is that ancient proverb? If you want shade, the best time to plant a tree was 50 years ago. The next best time is right now. So if you're paying rent and you can afford a mortgage, why would you not? You know, you're paying the landlord's mortgage. You might as well be building up some equity. Now, if you're unable to make your bills and you're looking for a cheaper alternative, that's a different story. But if your credit's in good shape, you've got the down payment, you're able to make the monthly payment, yes, appreciation is going to be slower moving forward. Yes, some areas might flatten or pull back, but over time, it always makes sense to own a property, assuming that you can make the payments. And we talked about it a few weeks ago. Guys, go to mrmortgageradio.com, click on that top link. It'll take you to the podcast page. And I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, we talked about decade over decade from 1940 to 2020. We pulled back. We didn't look at month over month or year over year. We looked at decade by decade jumps. It always went up in value, sometimes significantly, but always up in value. And don't forget, appreciation is only one aspect of equity. Paying down your principal is another aspect. Let's say you go out there and buy a property for $300,000 and it never goes up in value for the next 20 years. But in 20 years, you pay it off. Guess what? You've got $300,000 in equity. And that's most likely a worst case scenario. But if you make that rent payment for the next 20 years, how much equity do you have? Oh, wait a minute. Your landlord has all the equity. So brilliant question. Don't get discouraged. Yeah, you probably would have been better off. Not probably. You would have been better off if you could have jumped in 2 years ago, but maybe the time wasn't right for you. I encourage you to look closely at the opportunity in the market, and I am happy to be a resource if you need help, if you want to get pre-qualified. Guys, if you can hear my voice, we can be your choice. We are happy to help any of our listeners in any of the regions and any of the states or cities that you hear the show in. So always feel free to call with questions. We've got the Really Great Agents Network. We can even get you in touch with an amazing agent. So brilliant question. Don't get discouraged. Don't beat yourself up if you feel you waited too long. I mean, I waited too long to get back in the gym, but I'm going back. I'm going to feel better for doing it. So great question. I appreciate that. If you need me, you know how to reach me. Thanks. Hey, Jen, what else do we have?
Jason is asking, I bought a house in an LLC 5 years ago. I live in it now as my full-time residence. Can I file homestead exemption with it in an LLC? I'm the only member of the LLC, if that matters.
Hey, Jason, that's a great question, my man. But the answer is no. Not that I've ever seen done. It's my understanding that you cannot file homestead exemption as a business entity. So there might be a strategy where you can quitclaim deed the property to yourself and then file as an individual. There may be an opportunity for you to refinance the property if you've got debt on it now with one of the landlord loan products, for example, that we talk about all the time. You can close those in the name of a corporation or in the name of an LLC. You might be able to refinance into your name. You mentioned that it is now your primary residence. There could be some benefit there. You might even be able to pull out some equity if you needed to pay down some debt or buy another property. But somehow, some way, that's going to have to transfer from the LLC to you as an individual, even though you are the sole member of the LLC, which is a brilliant call out. But it's my understanding, and I'm happy to refer you to a real estate attorney, but you can probably get a definitive answer by calling your county tax collector's office. Tell them that I said it's highly unlikely. I'm almost 100% sure the answer will be no. But if I'm wrong, if you do investigate this and you find out from the local taxing authority that you can, please double back and share that info with me, because I would love to know that. But it's my understanding, and always has been, that you need to own the property as a person, not as a company. But that was a great question. I certainly do appreciate it. I hope that helped. And again, if you find out otherwise, I hope that you would double back and share that with us. So thank you so much for that question. And as I mentioned, that landlord loan is a great product for first-time landlords, seasoned landlords, because we're just leaning on the income that the property produces. Your income's not being underwritten. So a lot of people like that loan. We can also close in the name of an LLC or in the name of a corporation, which is also beneficial for investors. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I did reference it in the answer. That is a great loan product. We're seeing that used all the time for acquiring property, either as an investment or in the name of an LLC. So, and I hope that helps. If you need more info, you know how to reach us. Guys, you can hear the music. You know what that means? That's my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight on the other side of this break. We'll be back with more of the show.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel here, and I am going to interrupt this commercial break to ask you for a favor. If you've got any friends or family or coworkers who are talking about buying or selling or refinancing real estate, I'm hoping I can count on you to introduce them to me and my team. You can simply share the link, Mr. Mortgage Radio. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. I'd welcome the opportunity to help them any way we can. Now sit tight. On the other side of this break, we'll be back with the show. Again, it's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005.
Paradise is closer than you think. West Building Contractors can help you create your perfect piece of paradise. They have mastered the art of pavers, hardscapes, summer kitchens, pools, and more. For a free design consultation and quote, visit westbuildingcontractors.com or call 772-284-6994. West Building Contractors offer new construction, luxury additions, and remodels too. That's 772-284-6994 or westbuildingcontractors.com.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show. You hear me all the time talking about the need to have the very best team representing you in a real estate transaction. And that starts with a really great agent. If you've got a great agent, that's awesome. But if you don't, check out www.reallyGreatAgents.com. There you'll find the best of the best, regardless of the city they work in or the brokerage they work for. www.reallyGreatAgents.com. www.reallyGreatAgents.com.
Here's another 5-star review.
My wife and I own a small business. And the way our accountant file our taxes, we don't show much income on tax returns. Because of this, it looks as if we don't make the money. This was a problem for our bank when we applied for a mortgage. But not for Mark. He verifies our income by using our monthly bank statements. Mark and his Mr. Mortgage team made a big difference for me. Yes, I am happy to recommend Mr. Mortgage Mark.
Hey, it's Mark Eitel here, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show. And you've heard me talk about the valuation tool that we use in our lending practice almost daily. It's not quite an appraisal, but it's way more accurate than one of those online estimates. And we're happy to run one of those reports for you at no charge. Just visit freevaluereport.org. That's freevaluereport.org. Give us a little information about the property, and we'll be happy to send you your report. That's freevaluereport.org.
Are inflation and everyday expenses eating into your retirement income? Maybe you've considered a reverse mortgage and have unanswered questions like, do I still own my property? Can the bank kick me out? What happens when I die? Can I still leave my house to my kids? These are all great questions. Visit www.moreaboutreverse.com to learn more. That's www.moreaboutreverse.com. www.moreaboutreverse.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and you are tuned into the Mr. Mortgage Show. And friends, thank you so much for spending some of your day with us. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. We do it each week right here, same time, same station, and always enjoy interacting with your questions and comments. You heard the man. If you've got questions or comments, just call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. And we've had some amazing questions this week. What a great show we've had so far. I know we've got some more questions coming. Oh, hey, and by the way, if you want to email your questions, just go to MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. You'll find the email icon. If you click on that, you can shoot us your questions via email, and Jen will get you on the air. I'm looking forward to some more questions, so let's keep it going. Hey, Jen, throw me another question.
Danny sent this. My husband wants to help his mom buy a condo. She is retired and on Social Security. Can we co-sign for her mortgage?
Hey, Danny, that's a brilliant question. First, congratulations on being able to help your mother-in-law. I think it's amazing that you're able to do that. And we see a lot of that now, so it always warms my heart. We see parents helping the kids, and then we see the kids helping the parents later in life, so the full circle. Awesome, awesome. But let me answer your question. Great question. Simple answer, yes. You will be classed as a non-occupying co-borrower, as will your husband. You'll each be classed as non-occupying co-borrower, and then your credit, your income, and your assets can be used to help your mother-in-law qualify for the loan. So brilliant question and well done. Hey, Jen, what else do we have?
Connie sent this text. I have an FHA question too. We bought our house 3 years ago. We want to keep it and rent it when we move this summer. Is this allowed with FHA?
Hey, Connie, that is another great question. So you said 3 years. So you're okay. It's 12 months. So as long as you occupy that property for a year, in most instances, you'll be okay to keep it as a rental when you move on. Now, here's one thing I want to caution you. If your intent is to keep that property and go buy another property with an FHA loan, there may be an issue because FHA has a guideline called the departing residence distance rule. And what that means is you can't buy another property with an FHA loan as your new primary residence within a radius of 100 miles. I believe it's 100 miles. I know with USDA, there's the mileage requirement, and then also they'll throw in the commute. You know, if it's less than a certain distance, but the commute is longer, then I want to say it's an hour, but I might be wrong. But with FHA, I would just caution you to research the departing residence rule. And I would love to help you when you're ready. And let me throw that out there. Guys, if you can hear my voice, we could be your choice. I would love the opportunity to work with you. I love doing the show, but we also have a mortgage practice, and we are happy to jump in and help any way we can and love helping our listeners. So I just wanted to throw that out there because sometimes I forget to mention that. I have so much fun doing the show. Anyway, brilliant question. I would just caution you to be aware of the FHA departing guideline. Departing residence distance guideline requirement. That's it. I'm not going to say it again because I'm going to trip over my own tongue. Hey, Jen, do we have another question?
Beth is asking, can you explain why property tax amounts are so different for houses in the same neighborhood? The same model on different streets all have very different amounts. They all seem to be similar in value. What's the difference?
Hey, Beth, that's a brilliant question, and I don't think we spend enough time talking about property taxes and why they vary because it's frustrating, especially with new construction. You'll pull up the taxes in the county records and see $900 a year, but that's the tax on the dirt, the unbuilt lot, and then you'll build a big, beautiful home and buy it for $500,000, and now your taxes go up to $7,000. I just had that happen. And it's interesting because in some instances, agents can be devious and not fully disclose that the taxes are going to jump. The mortgage company, we disclose it because it's going to be part of your new payment. And there's been friction in conversations with agents over the years where they don't want us to call out the fact that the taxes are going to go from, $900 to $7,000. The instance that I'm referencing was a really, really great agent. And she's part of the Really Great Agent Network. So everybody was on board and understood and had the right expectations. But I only reference that because that, just happened a few days ago. Hey, and while I'm talking about that, that's the importance of a really great agent is having all of this additional information brought to light, because I can't imagine closing on a transaction and then having the big reality sandwich of the new taxes. That would drive me nuts. But let me answer your question, Beth, because it is a great one. I'm guessing what happened is they bought the properties all at different times at different prices or different values. So to give you an example, let's say the Jones family bought their property 10 years ago for $275,000 and then filed homestead exemption. Oftentimes with homesteaded properties, there's an appreciation cap to prevent somebody from getting taxed out of their home. So they bought the property for $275,000, market value was $275,000. They filed homestead exemption. Now that property can't increase in taxable value more than a certain percentage each year. So their taxes by default are going to be lower than, let's say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who bought their property last year for $500,000. Their taxable amount is based on the purchase price recorded at $500,000, and then they file homestead, and they're protected by the cap with how fast they can appreciate over time. So I'm guessing if you do the research that the individuals all purchased at different times at different prices and have filed homestead exemption. And that's the benefit of homestead exemption, guys. If you're not filing homestead exemption, your taxable value is market value. We've seen houses double in the last 2 or 3 years. Well, so did the taxes. So you want to file homestead exemption as soon as you're given the opportunity. And if you've got questions around that, Google your county and homestead exemption in XYZ county. And oftentimes the tax collector's website will pop right up and you can file online. If you need help with that, call us or shoot us an email. But definitely that is a super, super valuable part of homestead exemption is the appreciation cap. So brilliant question. I hope that helps. Hey, Jen, can we squeeze in another question?
Joan sent this one. My agent told me there's a 10% budget rule for condos in Florida, and this prevents some from being financeable. Is this true? Can you explain this? Thank you.
Hey, Joan, that's a great question and a great agent. That is another reason to have a really great agent. And if you need one, check out reallyGreatAgents.com. I'll be happy to introduce you to one. See how I slipped that in there? reallyGreatAgents.com. Anyway, Joan, let me answer your question. Yes, so that's part of the requirement of what we call a warrantable condo. And a warrantable condo is eligible for a wide variety of mortgage options. So if 10% of the budget amount isn't going into reserves, then it's likely that condo will not be classed as warrantable. And in order to get financing, you're going to have to put a bigger down payment down. Right now, non-warrantable condos are requiring, I think it's 25% down payment. There was some talk that they were going to tick it up to 30, but I believe it's still 25%. Non-warrantable condo, 25%. So your agent, brilliant advice. But yes, you can still get financing. It's just going to be at a slightly higher interest rate with a larger down payment required. Anyway, great question. I appreciate that one. Hey guys, you hear the music? You know what that means? We have wrapped up another week here at the Mr. Mortgage Show. My God, where does time go? We have so much fun with you. It flies by for me. I hope it does for you too. Hey Jen, I'm going to throw it over to you. You want to say bye?
Bye, Jen. Have a wonderful week.
Have a wonderful week, everybody. Jen and I will be back here next week, right here, same time, same station. If you need us during the week, check out MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. All my contact info is there. If you've got friends, family, or coworkers, you yourself need some help with mortgages, with real estate, check out MrMortgageRadio.com. I'd love to be your guy and happy to help you or anybody in your circle. So anyway, check us out next week right here, same time, same station. Have an amazing week. We'll see you next time.
That's a wrap. Join Mark Eitel next week for more thrilling, edge-of-your-seat discussions about real estate and mortgages right here on The Mr. Mortgage Show.
Let me tell you a little story about a man named Jed. Well, actually, this is a story about Mary, not Jed. Mary is an awesome single mom who's been raising her daughter in the same one-bedroom apartment for the last 11 years. That's right, one bedroom. They've got bunk beds in there and they've made the best of it. Her daughter's now a teenager, getting ready to start high school. The bedroom is a challenge, but more importantly, sharing that one bath is getting tough. So she decided to take the plunge and become a homeowner. We got her approved with an FHA loan. That's right, I said it, FHA loan. If your agent's telling you that FHA or VA loans are not being accepted right now, you're talking to the wrong agent. Give me a call and I'll get you in touch with a really great agent. Back to the story. She took the plunge and she is now the proud homeowner. They each have their own bedroom and more importantly, their own bathroom. Super excited for Mary and her daughter. If you want to learn more, check us out online at MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Or call us at 855-462-7292. My name is Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005.